Hey there, A's Day fans. Welcome to our newest edition of our show. I'm your host, Joe Grado. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking part of your weekend to listening to our thoughts on everything A's baseball. Today is Saturday, November 15th. We appreciate you all for remaining patient for an extra day to wait for the release of the newest edition of A's Day. We apologize. The rigors of our full-time position kept us from being able to upload this yesterday, but wanted to make sure the final touches are put on it, and we always want to make sure you have the utmost quality of content going through your radio airwaves. So we want to make sure that we don't rush it, and here we are in the midst of this nice relaxing weekend. Today is Saturday, November 15th. We got a good show for you. On today's show, we are going to continue on with the Nick Kurtz Award Tour. Sure seems like earlier in the week, he was named AL Rookie of the Year and was also named to the All-MLB Second Team. So we will get a better deep dive into what Kurtz accomplished to earn those awards. Seems like we're talking about the Big Amish every episode. That just goes to speak to the magnitude of the type of rookie season that he truly turned in. Denzel Clarke also won the Play of the Year at the MLB Awards show, so we'll be sure to discuss what play he was nominated and ended up securing, as well as what it means for the 2026 season and beyond. And then we are going to continue on with our segment of This Player in A's History. Today we're taking it back to the 70s, to those 1970s championship A's team, and talking about third baseman Sal Bando. Got a good show for you. Appreciate you taking part of your weekend to listening to our thoughts on athletics baseball. Let's get to it. Holy Toledo. Let's go A's. All right there, A's Day fans. Thank you again for taking part of your Saturday with us to hear our thoughts on everything athletics baseball. Before we get into today's show, just want to give you a reminder of where you can find us outside of our podcast episodes. So be sure to continue to download, listen, subscribe, whatever you can do on your favorite podcast platforms, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. That's where A's Day most likely is going to be able to pop up too as well. Be sure to continue to follow along with us. We appreciate all of your support. In addition, check out our social media channels on Instagram at A's Day Baseball Podcast, on X, formerly known as Twitter, at A's Day Baseball, and be sure to check out our YouTube channel for video editions of our podcast as well as other various baseball content at A's Day Baseball. And be sure to check out our YouTube channel or our Patreon site to become an official subscriber of A's Day, patreon.com/A's Day for just $2 a month. You'll be entered to win monthly A's Day t-shirts, A's autographed memorabilia, future A's game tickets, and so much more as we are able to grow this platform collaboratively. All right, without further ado, let's get to the first topic of discussion. The Big Amish, Nick Kurtz. He is named the 2025 Jackie Robinson American League Rookie of the Year. Congrats to him. What a year it's been for the Amish, without a doubt. In 117 games, I'm sure you've heard this line repetitively, but it just really stands out, and Kurtz has been tied to so many different awards that you're going to keep hearing his name for this year and for years to come, so get used to it. On the 2025 year, in 117 games, he batted .290 with 36 home runs, 86 runs batted in, a 1.002 OPS. He was the Silver Slugger Award winner at first base, and was a Hank Aaron Award finalist, who the Hank Aaron Award is given to the player. There's one in the American League, one in the National League for the best offensive player in all of in baseball. So 10 players on each side received finalist recognition, and Nick Kurtz was one of them. He ends up winning the Rookie of the Year unanimously. He received all 30 first-place votes. Impressive stuff. Wins it in convincing fashion, just like Ohtani won the National League MVP also unanimously. The main highlight for Kurtz from this past season on July 25th, I'm sure you've heard this many times as well, but he ended up going a perfect 6 for 6 against the Houston Astros, tying the MLB record for home runs in a single game with 4, 5 extra base hits, and 19 total bases, all tied the single season game record record. He won the AL Rookie and Player of the Month for his performance in July. His teammate Jacob Wilson ended up finishing second in AL Rookie of the Year voting. So it went Kurtz, Wilson, and then Roman Anthony from the Boston Red Sox. So congratulations to Nick Kurtz. It's definitely a prestigious award that not such a small percentage of players are able to add to their trophy case. And Nick Kurtz, starting off the season, it felt like the way things were going, because Kurtz didn't get called up till later, it seemed like the runaway for this award was going to be shortstop Jacob Wilson, who ended up being the starting shortstop in the All-Star game and finishing second in batting average in the American League. But that's how much of an impact Nick Kurtz made in those 117 games. So congrats to the big fella. Looking forward to seeing what's next in your professional career and what you got in store for an encore for 2026. But before we move along, we still got another award to discuss that Kurtz was recognized for. He was named to the All-MLB team. Nick Kurtz was named to the second All-MLB team at first base, behind Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who took home first-team honors from the Toronto Blue Jays. Kurtz was the lone rookie to win an All-MLB award and actually became just the 10th rookie ever to earn an All-MLB spot since this award was indoctrinated at the start of the 2019 season. He's the first A's position player to be named to an All-MLB team since Marcus Semien did it, being named to the second team back in 2019. Kurtz, what an impressive season. He ends the season being one of 3 players with a minimum of 400 plate appearances or more to finish with an OPS of a 1 dot or higher. The other 2? Can you guess? Yeah, of course. It's Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge. That's elite company that any hitter would want to be in for sure, and Kurtz was right up there with them, with at least in terms of the OPS standards for his performance during the 2025 season. Definitely an exciting fast start for Nick Kurtz, and you wonder what year 2 is going to look like, because now there's basically a full season of tape out there on them and on him, and I'm sure pitchers are going to work to those weaknesses to try to limit the powers of the Big Amish. But I'm sure Kurtz in his off-season work is also going to see the adjustments that these pitchers are going to make, and he's going to work to make those weaknesses lessen and maybe even potentially turn more into strengths. The only area really tremendous that really stands out to me is for Kurtz to be able to cut down on the strikeout rate. He was in the 30% range. It seemed like there was certain spots in the zone that he just wasn't able to get to consistently. And you wonder if pitchers are going to continue to work those quadrants while working with that pitch design in an attempt to tunnel and confuse Nick Kurtz to not know what to sit on. But I think with his absolute willingness and elite power to be able to drive the ball to left field, he's going to be just fine. Looking forward to seeing what the 23-year-old has in store for 2026 and beyond. Looking forward to him loading up his trophy case even more. Who knows, maybe we'll even be treated to his first All-Star selection, and we'll see what else comes along with that. And fun fact, and we'll move along here in a second, but Nick Kurtz actually received MVP votes too as well. I think he ended up finishing 12th in AL MVP voting. Not bad. Not bad. And I do think he'll be much higher on that list this year. I see an MVP in his future. Not that we're talking outlandish or coming up with anything really drastic here. I'm sure many of you A's fans couldn't agree more. But I definitely see an MVP in Nick Kurtz's future for sure. So best of luck to him. Congratulations on a very successful 2025 that's capped with all these awards. And hopefully this is the best is yet to come. Okay, moving along. So we've loaded up Nick Kurtz's trophy case with some hardware. Let's get some other A's, some awards for sure. Denzel Clarke received the Play of the Year award. So this is the first year MLB has introduced this award. There was one of two new awards. It was this one and then MLB Entertainer of the Year. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. won that one. Denzel Clarke wins Play of the Year. He wins this award for his home run robbery of Nolan Schanuel of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim back on their June 9th game at Angel Stadium. So if you didn't watch the play, please go watch it. But Grant Holman was pitching, throws it, Schanuel blasts a ball to deep left center field. Looks like it's a no-doubt home run. Clarke, he quote-unquote got a late jump on it. Didn't see it right off the bat, but because of his elite foot speed, was able to make up ground, has a great route to the baseball. He gets up onto the wall, scales it, not just climbs it, he scales it, reaches his arm over the wall. Like it felt like 5-10 feet past the wall. I don't think that's possible, but it was overextended for sure, and he brings it back, makes the catch, and it's one of the best catches that you're ever going to see. If you want to sit there and have your list of greatest catches of all time, this one has to be up there for sure. And I know it's a lot of modern familiarity, but at the end of the day, it reminded me of watching those highlight tapes of Griffey making some of those catches back in the day where it looked like, why are they showing this? It seems like it's a home run. Like it seemed like he missed it, but he would miraculously get it. Those are the type of plays that Clarke seems to make. So excited for him. Congrats on winning this award. For the 2025 season, he hit .230 with 3 homers, 8 RBIs in 47 games. He also stole 6 bases. Ended up making his debut on May 23rd and went on. So this award was very fitting that he wins Play of the Year because his first 4 weeks in the big leagues, he went on to win MLB's Electric Play of the Week for each of his first 4 weeks. That's hard to do, to make that kind of an instant impact right away, but he certainly brought his glove to the big leagues immediately. He compiled 7 defensive runs saved in just 47 injury-shortened games, which was tied for 10th among all of center fielders in baseball. Congrats on the winning Play of the Year award to Denzel. Looking forward to seeing what the native of Toronto, who took in some of the World Series action up at the Rogers Center. Looking forward to seeing him being the everyday center fielder and for him to find pathways on how he could put his body in a position to be able to endure the marathon of the 162 schedule, because he is so exciting, he's so electric, but don't want to just see him for a quarter of the season again. And I think that's such a huge boost to a team's lineup. You get what you get in terms of out of his bat, and you can see that was starting to pick up a little bit, but I don't think his bat is going to be necessarily anything that we look at and are going to be blown away with in terms of production. But what he is going to do, he's going to work his way on base. He's going to steal bases. But his ticket is going to be that glove. What I've seen out of his glove already in a handful of games is tremendous. I want to see more of it. So looking forward to seeing what Clarke has in store for the 2026 season. Best of luck in his preparation. I think he's going to be clear go for spring training. I think he's all cleared up, and we'll have a full off season of preparation. Looking forward to seeing what a full year from Clarke will look like navigating center field. All right, before we continue on with our show, we're going to just take a quick break. We're going to thank one of our partners for their support of A's Day and helping us set the foundation of where we are today. So don't go anywhere. We're going to do a quick ad read for Visit Mesa and then get back to this player in A's history. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. Welcome to Mesa, Arizona, a destination for every season. Experience a destination where adventure, culture, and culinary experiences are limitless. As the gateway to the stunning Sonoran Desert and Tonto National Forest, Mesa invites you to explore its scenic waterways, kayak through winding canyons, or paddleboard along the Salt River. For a one-of-a-kind desert adventure, ride the waves at Revel Surf at Cannon Beach, the country's first surf park of its kind. Downtown Mesa is a vibrant hub, home to the Mesa Arts Center, public art, award-winning breweries, and local shops. Food lovers can explore the fresh foodie trail and the diverse flavors of Mesa's Asian District. Sports fans can experience MLB spring training with the Chicago Cubs and Athletics, or visit one of North America's largest youth sports complexes. As the world's first autism-certified city, Mesa is dedicated to accessibility and inclusivity for all visitors. All right, we're back. Thank you again. Visit Mesa. We appreciate our time down there in Mesa earlier this year, being able to cover the A's during their spring training, as well as experiencing the wonders of their hot spots throughout town. We are now in the off season. This is a great time for you to plan your next spring training trip. If you want to see your favorite green and gold players up close and personal, highly recommend heading down to Mesa this February or March for a spring training trip. Be sure to check out visitmesa.com, or if you are down there in Arizona, be sure to stop into their offices right off of Main Street in downtown Mesa. They'd be more than happy to create an itinerary for you and give you a full plan and some ideas on how you can make your trip to Mesa one of the best you've ever had. All right, we are going to move along with our next This Player in A's History series. Continuing on with it, today we are headed back to the 1970s to talk about three-time World Series champion, the third baseman, number 6, Sal Bando. Bando, he was born in Cleveland to two parents who had a strong athletic background. His father, Ben, was a solid infield in slow and fast-pitch leagues, while his mother, Angela, also grew up playing softball and basketball in her youth. His brother, Chris Bando, ended up being a professional catcher at one point. Sal went on to be a star athlete at Warrensville Heights High School, where he was all-city quarterback, leading him to have aspirations to play Big Ten college football. During his high school career, he also played shortstop on the baseball team, forward on the basketball team, and ran track. So he did a little bit of everything. During summertime, Bando would play baseball in the Connie Mack League, where he would learn under the tutelage of Rick Leskevic, who served as a math instructor at Arizona State University. The math instructor moved Sal over to third base and eventually provided his recommendation to head coach Bobby Winkles, who was the head coach at Arizona State, who ended up offering Bando a scholarship to attend ASU in 1962. He ended up having a solid 2-year career at Arizona State. As a sophomore, he batted .347 and led the Sun Devils to the Western Athletic Conference title, as well as their first appearance as a college in the College World Series. The following year, Bando batted .317, leading the team to another conference title, and this time they would win the first College World Series title in Arizona State's collegiate history. During the College World Series, Bando batted .480, which was good for 12 for 25, with 9 RBIs, and was named the tournament's most outstanding player. Thanks to his prowess at Arizona State, as well as his performance at the College World Series, the Kansas City Athletics would go on to draft Bando in the 6th round in the inaugural MLB draft. And as expected, he progressed quickly through the A's system, ending up making his MLB debut the following year as a September call-up on September 3rd, 1966, in a 7-0 defeat against the Red Sox at Municipal Stadium in Kansas City. He ended up going 0 for 3 in that game. As a pinch hitter a few days later on September 7th, Bando collected his first MLB hit, a single off Clyde Wright, pitcher for the California Angels. The following season, Bando still chomping at the bit for a full run at third base. The position was currently occupied by mainstay Ed Charles, the team's starting third baseman since 1962. Charles actually ended up getting traded in that season on May 10th, which cleared the pathway for Bando to become the everyday third baseman for the A's. He impressed immediately with his glove, fielding everything. He had that short, quick release, strong throwing arm, good range, but the offense wasn't necessarily translating right away. Over his first 63 at-bats, he batted .143, which was 9 for 63, over a 4-week period. That led him to getting sent back down to AAA Vancouver to figure out his hitting woes. He worked with manager Mickey Vernon, who suggested Bando stand more naturally straight up as compared to crouched over to allow him to extend his arms and open up his swing. Bando went on to bat .291 the rest of the season during his time in Vancouver. He was voted to the Pacific Coast League All-Star Second Team and was voted the best defensive third baseman in a poll conducted by league managers. Bando earned another September call-up, hitting a more respectable .239, which was 16 for 67, and finished overall with a .192 average in 130 at-bats. In preparation for the 1968 season, his first full opportunity coming out of spring training to determine if he can be the everyday mainstay third baseman for the A's, he was sent to Arecibo in the Puerto Rico Winter League, where he was among the league's best hitters, hitting well above 300. The A's 13-year experiment of calling Kansas City home came to an end, with the club set to move to Oakland for the 1968 season. Bando, heading into the season, got off to a hot start in spring training, mashing 10 home runs, leading the Sporting News to tab Sal a man set for greatness. He hit his first big league home run in the second game of the 1968 season, a 2-run home run off Washington Senators pitcher Phil Ortega in a 9-6 victory. 1968 was tabbed the year of the pitcher, culminated with Denny McClain, I believe, of the Tigers winning the Cy Young. Bando, however, had a solid first season, playing all 162 games, showing his durability. He batted .251 with 9 home runs, 67 RBIs, with his batting average being 20 points above league average and second on the team in RBIs. At this point, he's beginning to draw strong comparisons to Hall of Famer third baseman from the Baltimore Orioles, Brooks Robinson. Bando never won a Gold Glove, but was always ranked in the top 5 of putouts, assists, and double plays throughout his career. In 1969, MLB decided to lower the mound to 10 inches in an effort to stimulate offense, and Bando took full advantage. As you can see with the year before, with the batting average being at only .230, MLB wanted to see an increase in productivity. To start off the 1969 campaign, Bando hit 5 home runs and 17 RBIs in 19 April games. He credits this fast start to bench coach and A's executive vice president Joe DiMaggio for his improvement. DiMaggio suggested he narrow his stance and keep his head down to generate more power. Bando, heading into this season, had more of a wider stance, with his back foot being pressed against the back chalk of the batter's box and his front foot almost getting to the front of the other batter's box line. So he thought DiMaggio, if he would narrow Bando's stance a little bit, he'd be able to stay in his body and get more consistent power and pop, which definitely led to some immediate results. Bando went on to accrue 18 home runs and 64 RBIs by the All-Star break. Viewed as a large upset in terms of voting, Sal Bando was selected to start the 1969 All-Star game at third base over Brooks Robinson. He would end up with the most productive month of his career after slumping a little bit shortly after the All-Star game, but in September, he hit 9 home runs, and it culminated a successful season for Sal Bando. Earlier that season in May, he was named captain by manager Hank Bauer, earned his first All-Star nod, and set a conglomerate of personal career single-season highs. He had 31 home runs, 113 RBIs, 171 hits, and 106 runs scored, playing in all 162 games at third base once again. He was part of the 1971 group that secured the first of 5 consecutive AL West crowns for the Green and Gold. Bando bashed 24 home runs and 94 RBIs, good enough to finish second in MVP voting. They lost in the ALCS to Baltimore. Bando in the series went 4 for 11, however, including a home run off Jim Palmer during Game 3 of the series. 1972 was a shortened season due to the major's first league-wide player strike, leading to the cancellation of 86 games. Bando suffered through a tough offensive season, ended up finishing with 15 home runs and 77 RBIs, but a greatly reduced .236 batting average. The A's defeated the Tigers this year to advance to the 1972 World Series, treated to the slugging brilliance of Gene Tenace, who mashed 4 home runs in the series, and Bando adding a 7 for 26 line, knocking in a lone run in Game 7 for their third run in Game 7 of the World Series. A's would go on to win the game 3-1 and win the World Series for the first time since their move to Oakland. This would be the first of 3 consecutive World Series titles, which Bando and 12 of his teammates would be a part of. There was such consistent clashing with owner Charlie Finley for years. Bando, he would criticize many of his decisions, he was known for being an outspoken leader for the A's clubhouse. Bando was named captain for a reason. He did a good job of keeping the players' mindset and eyes on everything going on between the lines, but Bando would be that voice for fighting for this team, for everything in the front office, transactionally. Basically the business side of things, Bando would have more of a vested interest in, but would do a good job of keeping that out of the dugout. Bando, at one point, was disappointed that he feels like Oakland should be the toast of the town, but especially with all this World Series success, but they remain toward the bottom of the league in attendance. He said, "Here we are not anything special." They ranked 8th and 11th in attendance out of 12 AL teams during their World Series runs. He was noted as not being a fan of the Oakland Coliseum, also leading it due to some bad windy weather, too much room beyond the foul lines. The heavy winds kept baseballs from traveling out of the ballpark, and did not like the poor parking access as well as poor facilities for players and families. In 1975, his relationship with Finley reached a head due to the public dispute going on during arbitration discussions. So Bando and Finley were going back and forth. Bando wanted a certain amount of contract. He didn't win his case. Finley ended up winning the arbitration case and went on to say, as quoted, "There are too many players in baseball who want unjustified, astronomical salaries. It is my obligation to stop these shenanigans." Imagine hearing that today. Can you imagine what Finley would think to see some of these contracts that are being doled out now? He wouldn't be able to stomach it. A's would go on to win their 5th consecutive AL West crown, but Bando struggled to a .230 average in 160 games by season's end. Seemingly exhausted between the 3-year dynasty run of deep postseason runs and internal turmoil of a lasting friction between ownership and the players, the A's run of dominance came to an end, getting swept by the Red Sox in a best-of-5 ALCS series. In his final season in Oakland heading into the 1976 season, Sal Bando was one of 7 players who refused to sign a contract in order to reach free agency following the season. Owner cut their salary by the maximum 20% allowed and declared his willingness to sell any of these players for $1 million. Tempers flared from here. Commissioner Bowie Kuhn voided Finley's sale of Rudy and Fingers to the Red Sox and Vida Blue to the Yankees. Finley filed a lawsuit against the commissioner and instructed new A's manager Chuck Tanner to bench those 3 players. Bando, continued to be the voice in that clubhouse, threatened a players' walkout strike if that remained the case of those players being benched. Voted to walk out before their game against Minnesota on June 27th, led by Bando. Finley eventually caved. Bando, he went on to have a solid final season with the A's, belting a team-high 27 home runs and 84 RBIs. However, the team finished second place and out of the postseason. At season's end, he was granted free agency. He ended up signing a 5-year, $1.5 million contract with the Milwaukee Brewers. Team president Bud Selig, who would end up being MLB commissioner himself one day, saw Bando as a veteran leader who could serve as a mentor to the young players. And in the words of Milwaukee Centennial writer Lou Chapman, and the loser image of the team. Bando would go on to play 5 seasons with Milwaukee, with his career concluding in the 1981 American League Division Series, losing to the New York Yankees in 5 games, being a part of Milwaukee's first postseason series. Bando went 5 for 17, playing third base for all 5 games. He declined an invitation to return to the team in 1982, bringing his career to a close. From there, he was set in terms of post-playing career opportunities. With his leadership skills and his vast knowledge of baseball, he served as special assistant to Brewers GM Harry Dalton from 1982 to 1991. Bando was named GM of the Brewers in 91 and remained in the position for 8 seasons, overseeing, unfortunately, only 1 winning season. Ended up being inducted into the College Baseball Hall of Fame in 2003, and he lived out his years with his wife in the Milwaukee and Phoenix areas, being the CEO of Middletown Doll Company. Not involved with baseball at this point, but remained a steadfast fan for the remainders of his days. Passed away in 2013 at the age of 78 after his battle with cancer concluded. So over an impressive 16-year career, Bando batted .254 with 242 home runs, 1,039 RBIs, collecting 1,790 hits and 289 doubles. He played in Oakland for 11 of those 16 seasons. And here's how he ranks in terms of the Athletics franchise pantheon. He had 192 home runs during his time at the A's, which was 9th in franchise history. 796 RBIs, which was 5th. 737 runs scored, which was 13th. 1,468 games, which was the 4th most. And 792 walks, which is 6th. Definitely a tough-nosed, edgy type of third baseman. If I was growing up in that time era out here, most likely Sal Bando would have ended up being my favorite player. I like those guys that have that grit and that determination. I love the fact that he just wanted to be out there for his team every single day. He was the model of consistency. He led by example, especially early on, while he was in a room with guys like Catfish Hunter and Raleigh Fingers and Reggie Jackson. He knew his place, but they all respected him because he led by example. And once they saw the blue-collar, hard-nosed way upon he carried himself between the lines and being a positive voice for the players in the clubhouse, he would voice his opinion, wouldn't be afraid to do so. He was respected and welcomed very early on in his career. Being named captain that early in his career, too, as well, must have spoken volumes. Hank Bauer saw a lot in him, but he even fostered a good relationship with his following manager, Dick Williams, too, as well. So, really enjoyed being able to go down this journey, learning about one of the franchise's all-time greats, third baseman, but all-time great athletics in general, Sal Bando. Rest well, Mr. Bando. Hope we honored your memory with reverence and the proper way. What an impressive career you compiled for nearly 2 decades. And with that, that brings us to the close of another edition of A's Day. We appreciate you taking time out of your weekend to listen to our thoughts on everything athletics baseball. On today's show, we added to Nick Kurtz's trophy case as we discussed him taking home Rookie of the Year honors, as well as being named to the All-MLB Second Team at first base. Denzel Clarke, we also mentioned him winning an award, a first-year award, the Play of the Year, for his amazing home run robbery against the Angels on June 9th at Angels Stadium. And then we dove into the next segment of this player in A's history. We focused on A's third baseman, Sal Bando. It was an absolute treat and a joy to be able to research and learn more about Bando's life and career. Hopefully you all enjoyed it just the same. We'll be back behind the mic for Monday's show. We're going to dive into the A's latest acquisition of reliever Nick Kurtz. Acquisition of Nick Anderson. Got Nick Kurtz on the mind here. But they signed Nick Anderson to a minor league deal. Someone that's trying to come in on a prove-it deal. We'll see if he still has electricity in that right arm and what it can mean for his role in the A's bullpen for 2026 and beyond. We are going to mention also there was a potential free agent splash that was mentioned by Jeff Passan of ESPN. So we'll get into his exciting thoughts on who the A's should bring in as a perfect fit. It would certainly bolster the pitching rotation. So we'll talk about that on Monday. And then we are also going to do a hypothetical, since this was something that was brought into the ether during last season. But I wouldn't be surprised, and I've heard his name being thrown around in trade rumors once again this offseason. But what would a hypothetical Luis Severino trade lead to in terms of effects of the 2026 season, but beyond too as well, as Severino is set to begin his second year of his 3-year contract with the Green and Gold. So should be a good show on Monday. We look forward to being back behind the mic talking with you, the lovely audience. That's all I've got for today. Once again, I'm your host, Joe Grado. Thank you for tuning in to our newest edition of A's Day. Couldn't be here without each and every one of you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll be back talking about A's baseball in just a couple days. Holy Toledo, let's go A's.